We're really live now.
I do not like the feeling of being live.
Well, it's okay. We only got one person in there right now.
Who is it? Say hello to
I
me.
don't know. I can't pull this up. So, folks, we're learning along with you. I mean, we were hoping for 10, right, Mark?
I do not like the fact that this is live.
We'd love to get 10.
I think we'll get 10.
I think we'll get 10 too. The internet around here. Oh, we got 12. Mark, we're at 12.
What?
We're at 12. Addison's in here. Liam Brennan's in here. How we doing, guys? I hope that you guys are safe. Oh, we got a bunch of people joining in. People are at home. They want to see the M&M boys. They want a little positivity in their life. I'm joining at 17.
I wish I wouldn't have had so much coffee. Now I'm nervous.
Harv, are we about to break the internet right here?
Let's get this thing rolling.
Busky, let's go. Sign in. Sign in. I want you up to 20. Busky's in. Nolan's, you sign in on your phone so we can get up to 20?
Come on, Noah. Do something productive here.
All right, you're the host, bud.
Are we ready?
Do you have the questions?
Questions are ready.
First off, I want to thank everyone for being here. Me and Mart, we just have a blast doing this. I hope everyone's staying safe. I hope you're not going to the grocery store just to get a couple avocados. I hope you're going there and really stacking up. How you feeling, Mart?
I feel dangerous.
Let's get it going.
Let's get it going.
The first one's from Dr. Scott Hoppy. He goes, what's the craziest thing you've ever done for training?
Besides sticking my face in an ice hole yesterday because Harvey forced me to do it.
All right, good. So the question is, what's the craziest thing we've done for training? Hey, thanks for joining, everybody. Let's have some fun. All right, so dial it in. Hope you have your coffee. 5 minutes. Here's the rules. 4 questions, 5 minutes. You start it off, Stevie.
Well, I've done some real crazy stuff in the last year, thanks to you.
Mm-hmm.
I also got to give a shout out to Brian Peters. There's nothing like trying to keep up with a guy like Brian Peters in a workout. Your alpha male really starts kicking in.
Yeah.
And you try to stick with him.
Yeah.
So I would say trying to do a Brian Peters workout involving only hamstrings from a guy who's got lower back problems, that's pretty tough on me. And then the second one is the first times I started actually doing the fire and ice stuff was wild for me. Because I did it at late night, right? So it would be like at MASH. It would get to be 10 o'clock. And I would open the door and I'd look in the back and I'd go, am I going to do this? Am I going to really do this?
Yeah, you were a late night fire and ice guy too.
Yeah.
Late night is always I think that's a tough time to do it because you don't know how you're going to react at 11 o'clock, midnight or so. I mean, I think you're right. We've done some stupid things as I'm going through my head. I'll give the disclaimer early. So now that we are live and we know people are listening, disclaimer early. Don't try this at home, I guess, right? Is that what you're supposed to say? No, we did. We just did some dumb things. So like we would do breath holding. I know Brian, like because we've experimented a lot, right? So like I remember probably the dumbest thing I've done in training was a couple years ago we were looking at breath holding and water as a meditation.
I remember this.
Yeah, so we were doing, we were messing around with the superventilation type stuff and trying to increase our retention times of breath holding. And then inside of that, we looked at that and went, well, water's peaceful. That'll make meditation. That'll disrupt thoughts.
And what people don't know is you're a heck of a swimmer.
I'm a very good swimmer.
Harv can really swim.
Yeah, I'm a very good swimmer. So we were doing breath holds. I was actually down in Houston. It was me, Dave, Kai, and Brian. We would do 3-minute breath holds and being stupid. And we learned a lot along the way. But we set a timer and you had to make the 3-minute breath hold. So we were holding our breath under the water with no guidance. So for people listening, what we found was that people were dying doing that. And we had a guy who called us and told us about that. And I was very, very appreciative of him sharing that with us. So don't do breath holds under the water. Be smart with breath holds. Be smart with cold. I think learning in the beginning how long you can be in cold water, that was a good example too, to kind of know. We found out really early that fire and ice is taxing on the body. So when you're in a sauna and an ice tub and you're doing a lot of that stuff, it's taxing on the body. So a lot of people look at that as like a recovery. And it's not, right? Like timing and dosage is so important. It's so valuable. So you got to look at that as every choice that you make is going to result in some sort of reaction, right? So are you burning too much fuel? Well, that's a workout. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. I was thinking on the back end, too, a fun training activity, skeet shooting. When skeet shooting with
fun.
Steve Hines,
Yeah.
that was wild, dude. Hand-eye coordination like that. and you would shoot, and Steve Hines is like he's a dog at this, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just up there just missing by 10 feet.
Right.
And then he goes, just pop it in your shoulder and blows the thing out of the water.
Yeah. Well, he teaches that too.
Oh, yeah. He's good at it too.
It'd be fun to do that with like skiing, if you were skiing down a hill and skeet shooting. That would be sweet.
Yeah, that would be really nasty.
That would be cool. How do we do? Is that 5? That was the craziest thing I've done.
Yeah, just the whole fire and ice bit for me has definitely been my craziest thing. Mm-hmm. What happened, Noel?
We're going to go up and down now, portrait mode.
Okay.
Oh.
Does this disrupt the viewers? Do they not like this?
No.
They can probably tell you if they like it or not.
So the second
Hey,
one.
take it easy. You're loud. Jeez, you're getting nervous. You're live, man.
Guys, when we go live, you really find out who the pros are.
Yeah.
Good luck, Nolan. Go ahead.
Take it easy, Noel.
The second one's from Nick Addison. He
You
goes,
gotta love him.
"What's more important, the way you treat others or the way you want to be treated?"
What's more important, the way you treat others or the way you want to be treated?
Yes.
You know, Nick, it's a good question. And for anyone who doesn't know Nick Addison, you need to go follow his Instagram page. He's got the cutest little girl that you've ever seen. He focuses on her over himself, which is great because Nick's got an ugly mug. Mm-hmm. But I want you to ask the question one more time because I had a layered answer to it.
What's more important, the way you treat others or the way you want to be treated?
Okay, super important question, Nick. And obviously the first answer that you're supposed to have is the way you treat others. Mm-hmm. But when you start thinking, I'm in the brain of a teacher, right? So I think like a coach, I think like a teacher. And in order to get somebody to understand how to treat someone, you have to teach them boundaries within how they treat you. So, hey, that's not how we're going to talk. Hey, that's not how we're going to work. Hey, that's not how we're going to listen. If you can teach people how you want to be treated, and at the same time you are true, like you have good characteristics, you have good virtues, you have good intentions, I think that can be way more helpful to somebody that doesn't really necessarily understand what's right and wrong in the world yet, especially someone that's really impressionable at a younger age.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you think that do you hear me? I can't hear myself.
You're a little faint.
A little faint. Maybe turn me up a little bit there, Noel. But I think that, do you think that the way that people treat you tells you how, like, if you can recognize how people treat you, do you think that tells you more about you?
Yeah, I think it does, and that's where how I want to be treated. If you see something, we talk about perception a lot, right?
Right.
So like what your world is completely different than my world. Mm-hmm. So if you do something that actually doesn't mesh with me,
right,
I think it's more important for me to tell you, hey, for our relationship, for the sake of our relationship, like that's not how I like to be treated.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about if I see you or people that know you well, okay, and not very well, and how they react to you or how they treat you. Do you think that if you're able to observe that, you can? Do you think that people treat you on how they perceive you? Like if you're a really good, positive person, do you think most people, because the reason why that could be confusing is if people treat a really positive person well, does that mean that you're positive? Or at the same time, what if someone doesn't like that you're positive, so they treat you bad because they're jealous?
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I mean, I've certainly experienced that
Both of
very
them, right?
example. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking of it as, I think it's a great question. I mean, my initial thought through history or through my answer to that wants to say it's more important to treat people better, right? Mm-hmm. Like your job is to treat and serve people. Now, what I think would be interesting or confusing about that is how people treat you, right? Because there's so much that goes into that. And I don't know how well we could internalize or how well we could observe body languages of what people give us and what that says about us.
Yeah, and I think my answer, the one I gave, was from, I'm personally very comfortable with who I am. Like,
sure,
on a very personal level, I'm comfortable with who I am. So I'm confident in trying to teach other people kind of what I've learned from a lot of people. Obviously, I'm not who I am just because of me. I'm who I am because of a massive amount of people. So like you think of a kid, right? A baby. And they walk up to a hot stove and you tell them it's hot. they learn that that's hot from you. So I think if we can help, especially younger people, teach them how to think and how to feel and how to talk, and this is how I like to be treated, you're going to teach them what you like. You're not going to teach them what, hey, this is how you should want to be treated. You're going to say, this is how I like to be treated. I'm going to teach you this through the things that I've learned.
Sure.
And that's going to build a generation of kind of your values and your virtues of what you think. Does that make sense?
It does.
It's like a flipped way of thinking. The obvious answer is treat others well. You do treat others well if you're teaching them how you like to be treated.
Yeah, and that's kind of the full circle of the question.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of taking both parts of the questions, making it whole. Yin and yang, tale as old as time. Good answer, Steve. You really took that on and ran with it.
Thanks, Marty. And tale as old as time, really want to give a shout out to Belle. I think she's the best Disney princess of all.
Nice.
Next one's from Colby Gartner. Do you think it's in one's best interest to not classify themselves to a certain identity so one can have more opportunities in life?
A high school kid wrote that question.
No, this guy has buried me with some deep questions.
Amazing that a high school kid wrote that question.
He asked me a question a few weeks ago, and he asked me about intelligence and was saying, was basically dialing it into of how do you acquire intelligence from people? Do you ask, I'm going to try to get his exact words, but it was more of, should knowledge be acquired widely or narrow, like depth?
Sure.
And we had a beautiful conversation about it for like an hour. It was awesome. Shout out to Colby, great guy. But we'll get into that to a later day. Can you ask that again? Because let's answer his question.
We got to compliment him a little bit first.
He just asked a great question.
Do you think it's in one's best interest to not classify themselves to a certain identity so one can have more opportunities in life?
Yeah, so I think of it as yes, but then no, just like anything, right? It's always subjective, which is so cool about Coffee Buzz is that it's subjective. It's not good or bad, which we could battle for days on. But specifically for like these sort of things, because identifying with who you are is a high level of purpose. There's like a lot of attention behind that, right?
Yeah.
So you look at it and you go, okay, well, how do you identify yourself? Well, you do identify with the values, with your family, with your friends. I think sometimes it is powerful to identify with your job and to create some purpose behind that and those sort of things. Now, at the same time, identifying with things outside of what makes you confident or secure, now you're going to start getting in trouble because the fragileness of that can get shattered at any point. So it's like if you do identify with being an athlete, that is so fragile. So you're just walking on thin ice until that cracks. And at some point it's going to crack, and even the highest level, we look at this very often of going athletes, well, what about a Derek Jeter? And I've had that question posed to me when I'll say not to identify around sports, but they'll go, okay, what about Derek Jeter? What about LeBron James? These guys are going to retire on their own. At the same time, we had an entire season of tributing Derek Jeter in his last season with the Yankees, and he was given a gift. It was a huge deal. Remember that year?
Oh, yeah.
The next year, there was nothing about Derek Jeter. I mean, the Yankees moved on. The Yankees have a new shortstop. They move on. And this happens all over and over and over again. So we see that as giving service to Derek Jeter, which is awesome. I don't know Derek Jeter, so I'm making assumptions here, but how did Derek Jeter handle next year not being a Yankee shortstop? How did he handle not being announced in front of 40,000 people? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I think externally you have to keep breaking frames and keep reiterating new identities over and over and over again. And the only way to do that would be continuously experiencing new things. That's how I would answer that question. That you have to break a frame, you have to break identities, and you have to keep adding new experiences, good or bad. And outside of those new experiences, you'll create some sort of wisdom, which should improve choices, which should make a more confident internal identity.
Sure. I love it. Yeah, when I first heard that question, I thought, you don't have an identity, right? You should have a self-identity, but externally,
Sure.
you should have a theme. Right? So you should be working off of a theme. So like for me, my theme would be I was an athlete throughout my life, but now it changes as we go. So like trying to think of okay, I'm not a Harry Potter guy, but let's think about Harry Potter. Seriously,
boy.
think about Harry Potter.
I'm in. I'm all
Okay?
in.
So the first book, the big deal about Harry Potter, obviously, he's the big dog. He survived, but he was super good at Quidditch.
Unbelievable.
Right? This guy could really fly.
He could move. He could scoot.
Well, in the seventh book, that's just a part of his overall story.
Right.
The whole story wasn't about him being good at Quidditch. So that's how I see life being, is that you have to have a theme of what you're doing because you have to build roots within where you're at, right? You can't just be bouncing around group to group to group to group to group and not grow any roots.
Right.
Because now I have nothing to stem off of. So if I can grow roots as an athlete, that gave me an opportunity to meet a Tom Buski, which gave me an opportunity to start a business within baseball. And that gave me an opportunity to bring on a Harvey Martin who loves baseball but is passionate about human performance. And now I'm able to pivot a little bit. And then we get a facility, and now I'm able to pivot a little bit. And now we're looking at doing all of these amazing things, and you can pivot, and you can change your perception. It's much like, Kobe Bryant, he has a famous interview talking about how they said, will you come back out of retirement? And he was saying no.
Great interview.
Yeah, the biggest reason I won't come
Great
back
interview.
out of retirement is I don't want people to think as Kobe Bryant as a basketball player. I want them to think of me as Kobe Bryant. And so he obviously identified himself as an athlete, and he grew roots within the game of basketball because that's what he loved, right? You have to figure out what you love so you can grow roots within that. But then outside of that, never be afraid to change and pivot and move and do different things and experience new things as long as they match the values that you had when you first started writing that book.
Steve McGuigan.
Right?
Unbelievable. Yeah, no, that was a great.
Same answer as you.
Yeah, it is same answer.
Yeah.
Good way. The Harry Potter drop in is just, it's nails. Anyone who can answer something with a Harry Potter Quidditch game I think you're doing fine on live. Are you nervous?
No.
Okay, good. I'm not nervous either.
Oh, sorry, Mark. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah,
Sorry for
what?
touching you.
So Brad Goldberg chimed in and asked, what are your 3 favorite attributes for teammates and managers?
Goldie.
3 favorite attributes for teammates and managers.
Yeah.
You want me to go first? You're staring at me. I'll go first.
Well, you started going, so I was listening.
Yeah, so I think, I'm going to take it from a part that I had a conversation with an old teammate, matter of fact, a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to just roll it into this. What's fascinating about sports is that you truly, and there's very few things on the planet where people actively want the whole to win, right? And I think that that's the objective of businesses, right, is to try to get that. But there's a lot of stuff that takes place. Like in baseball, I remember in the professional world even, it wasn't, you knew people's salaries and you weren't really mad at them if they did well,
No.
and the team won. Whereas like now people will try, outside of sports, you'll see people will try to get that, he shouldn't be making that money, or you go, how much money does he make? And it's kind of a weird thing where I didn't experience that in sports. Now I didn't play long enough to really know that, but to take that and answer this question specifically, what I think is cool about athletics and teammate attributes is the reason why people become such good friends is that you feel, first and foremost, you feel an energy to trust that person. Mm-hmm. You feel an energy without even talking, because personalities, weird, funny, intelligent, et cetera, are accepted in sports if your energy is that I trust you. And if I trust that you'll just try hard, people love it. Even if you're not that talented, people love you.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that that's such a powerful thing. David Ross was carried off the field when the Cubs won the World Series a few years ago, and he started the game on the bench. Now, he hit a tank in that game, but he started the game on the bench, got carried off after the game. Mm-hmm. That alone it's so powerful. And so I think first attribute as a teammate is, can I trust your energy? And that is a source that is you feel. And I think that people can feel that. So I would say energy first, a trustable energy. 2, I would say just the essence of really giving your best effort is accepted in sports, and that eliminates the talent side. So energy of trust. 2 would be your work ethic. And then 3 would be just selfless, like the ability to serve others and those sort of things is in doing what's the greater good, holding the rope. All those slogans and taglines, like in the best cultures, those really do mean stuff to people.
Yep.
And that holds true because everyone in the country, for the most part, has a slogan about work ethic or just hold the rope or those sort of things. So why would one organization win and the other one not? And those are all people buy into those contributions. So I would look at that in the team aspect. Now, as a manager, I just think the first one of a manager would be stoic. I think that managers need to be very even keeled.
You like that manager that sits in the dugout, kicks his feet up, pulls the young guy aside.
I do, because I think that managers that first and foremost show stoicism, even keeledness, calmness, I think that they allow players to put freedom. So not just in sports, but I think freedom is confidence, right? So if you have freedom to fail, then you have confidence to try. And I think that comes from a calm leadership. So leaders that are here and there, you're on edge. You're like, what are they going to do? And then that's going to eliminate your ability to feel free. So you're not going to have as much confidence. You're going to be some sort of tightness. So I would say one is calm leadership is the first one, and I do like to kick your feet up.
Oh yeah,
that whole bit.
You always wanted to be that manager.
I have. I'm working towards it. So, and then two, I would say I think that, and I've said this for a long time. I think leaders need to look the part, and I'm talking about physically look the part. You need to train. You need to work out, you need to practice breathing, you need to eat well, you need to think well, you need to advance your personal life more than anything.
And I agree with that, but at what point does it become okay to have the barrel come out in the
barrel
tucked in sweatshirt with the barrel with the no belt?
It's got to be a strong barrel. It's got to be a strong barrel where if the barrel is strong and you can still get after it work ethic wise. Now you go back up into the team attributes.
Sure.
Works hard. He just got older.
Yep.
He got banged up a little bit.
Yep.
So, but I still think that needs to be seen and felt, that you are personally trying to improve.
Well, I think managers and players are completely different, right? Like the three things I would look in a manager.
Well, I wanted my third. I didn't get my third.
Did you not give a third
yet? I only got
yet?
two. I only gave out two.
I think you've given 7.
Calmly. Well, I'm on a roll. I'm feeling good now. You told me we didn't have to be nervous on live, so I'm not nervous anymore.
Keep going, Marty.
So now I'm excited.
Whose show is it?
Yeah, I mean, we ain't going anywhere. So, so calm leadership, personal advancement, and now I was on my roll.
Stoicism.
The
stoicism.
third one would be, I really love when a manager goes to bat for the boys.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just wears it even when the boys are wrong.
Yep.
Gets in front of the media and says, "Those are my boys."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'll talk to them. We'll be inside. We'll be internal.
That's big time.
I love that. Those are my three. Go ahead, Steve. Floor is yours.
Well, how much do I got? 25 seconds here? Here, let me go. One, I always talked about this as a player. What do I got? 25 seconds?
I'm laughing at the comment.
You got 20. Well, you got 20 seconds now.
No, now I'm losing time. Okay, one.
Get it in.
And this one's for Goldberg directly, because we talked about this when we were players, is that you can't forget when you're a manager what it was like to be a player. So, like, a lot of the times I think managers or coaches, they forget what your thoughts and what your emotions and what your feelings were like as a player because they forget that lifestyle.
For sure.
So, one, I think a manager needs to understand what it was like to be a player, because now they're not getting down your throat for things that don't make any sense. I take a lot of pride in that. I'm not getting on guys that I don't want. Like, I would never want to get yelled at for that as a player. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
2, the manager and the staff have to be on the same page. So if you got a manager and then you got a pitching coach and then you got a hitting coach and a fielding coach and they're all doing like different types of things and they're jumping over each other, no bueno.
Especially in front of the teammates.
Yeah,
or the
can't
team.
be in front of the team.
Can't do that in front of the team.
Nope. If we've ever had an argument at MASH, it's always been, let's go back there and
barrel
talk about
on
it.
barrel in the storage room.
Yes. Let's go back. Have the respect. It's like your parents going to the basement to argue.
Yep.
You argue, you don't do it in front of the kids.
Yeah, we're gonna go see what's in the back.
100%. And 3, I agree 100% with you that I want a manager that just kind of lays his arms over the rail and he just lets the game happen and he calls players up and he just kind of gives them little teaching moments. I think a manager like that is a dream to have to play for.
Unbelievable.
Players, work ethic, do I want to get a beer with you after the game is
Oh,
actually
yeah.
very important to me.
Yeah.
It's not make or break that I wouldn't want you on my team. But if we're talking about top level teammates,
Yeah.
want to be able to get a beer with you after the game. And then 3, do they have genuine joy for your success?
And that happens in sports. Mm-hmm. I like that. And I know I was selfish on this answer. I just
No.
got excited. I think that my teammate always, and you remember this, I used to always say, never trust the first person in the buffet line after a doubleheader. Never trust the first person in the buffet line after a doubleheader. When the boys are hungry, the first person to eat. Thanks, Tommy.
Are the boys hungry?
Oh, wow.
Hey,
a little
Tommy,
bacon.
great teammate.
Little
Great
bacon.
teammate.
Oh,
And then,
wow, what a
and then
drop
two,
in.
and then
Nothing
two.
brings you more joy than a little bit of
Tom,
bacon.
you're a radio face. I hope he didn't get caught there. Did he get caught on
Oh,
the
wow.
He
clip
got
there?
in there.
That's the first time in 3 years Tom's been on the screen. And then 2 was you got to buy a round for the boys. No matter where you're at, 1 round's got to be paid for. Now we get it, the bonus babies. There might take a few, but one's got to be buy a round of Coors Lights, and that's it.
And I'm going to give you guys a little heads up here. And for the high school kids, you'll get to the point where you can do this. But
Oh, yeah,
for anyone
sorry.
that's of age, always buy the first round.
Yeah,
No
but
one
they're-
remembers the guy who buys the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th round. Nobody remembers that guy. Buy the first round. Then you're scot-free the rest of the game.
Dynamite drop in. Don't give away all the secrets, though, Stevie.
That was a big
That's
one.
a golden.
one of my
That's a
go-tos.
golden nugget
Yeah,
there.
that is
That's a golden
nugget.
nugget.
So this came in, just a short answer. Of all the MLB managers, who would win in a UFC-style fight?
That's got to be Gabe
By Paul
Kapler.
Gosted asked that one.
That's got to be Gabe Kapler. I mean, I'd throw Rocco in there. I feel like Rocco's got just a little bit of the stoicism at a young age on him, Rocco Baldelli.
Yeah, yeah.
Is this past or present?
Right now.
Right now, Gabe
to pick
Kapler.
one.
Gabe Kapler.
I just the thing. I loved Gabe Kapler growing up. Big fan of his. He was a Detroit Tiger, and was a fan of his. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna stick with my guy. I think Madden. I think Madden can do it
In
all.
a fight?
Yep, I think he can do it all because he's got the endurance. He's got the endurance. I was just reading in a book yesterday. Here's a human performance tagline for everybody: that the humans that hunted growing up in our evolution, we were built for endurance. Yeah, we were built for endurance. So the muscle wouldn't last because you had to chase the buffalo all around the world, and then once the buffalo got fatigued from getting chased and died off or fell down, then the most endured aerobic athlete took that buffalo, brought it back to the tribe. So you look at Joe, big endurance guy.
You better be able to endure Kapler's fist in his face.
Well, that's the thing. If Joe can go, then Kapler's an anaerobic guy. He's the buffalo here. He's not going to go as long.
You got Joe Madden winning in a fight because he could run away for longer?
That's what human evolution would prove me right, is what would happen. It would prove me right. And I just, I'm riding with Joe all the way to the sunset.
I respect it.
That's my guy.
So, Dave Fisher
Oh,
wants
Dave.
Stop
to
it.
know who would win in an arm wrestling match between you two.
Davey, dude, Dave's kicking his feet up overseas right now, getting a good chuckle.
Dave. Come on. I mean, that's like asking who would win a mile race. Mart's
Yeah.
beating me in a mile. I'm beating Mart in pure
It's an-
strength. Boom.
It's an unfair question because
Yeah.
all I'd have to do is I'd have to confidently lie on live right now.
Yeah.
I'd have to lie in front of these people. I'm not going to do that.
And that's why we love Dave. Dave is one of the best at boxing up old Marty, isn't he?
He is good at it. He's good at it.
What are you doing, Noel?
What are you doing,
We're
Noel?
having fun. I want to keep going.
Was that it?
So
I mean, we got 24 people who are shacked up in their houses. That's 2,400 people that are shacked up in their houses listening to us right now.
People are still listening to this.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
we'll
we
throw
have
one
fun.
out there. At what age?
Last one.
At what age were you comfortable swearing in front of your parents?
Never.
Yeah,
I
never?
still apologize.
You
That's
do?
a fact. For everyone listening, I apologize when I swear in front of my parents.
So I have a good story about that because I've been swearing in front of my parents for a long time.
Yeah.
And when I was young, my dad let me and the boys. He'd let us curse a little bit, and we would have a good time with it. And then we'd take advantage of it, And then my dad would just, my dad, all right, whatever, And so we would take advantage
guy
of it.
ever.
Yeah. And so when you're 12 and you're swearing in front of parents, like it turns into a cool thing, And there were 2 moments in my life that really, really beat me up. They really beat me up, and they changed my swearing game forever, which I've told a lot of people this. Swearing is an art, right? So you got to be a good swearer if you're going to swear. If you're not going to be good at it, then stop swearing, because now you're just pissing me off.
You're not even a good swearer.
Yeah, you're a bad swearer. I've talked to a lot of people about this, and if people, I don't know if the 24 specific people who are listening have been involved with it, but I know I've talked to 2,400. Yeah, 2,400. I've talked to at least 2 or 3 people about this. No, so there are 2 things that happened in my life. One, I took the swearing game overboard. Young age, fool. I was a fool, and that's what it takes to be wise, I suppose. But I started swearing a lot, and one time I said the F word, and I said it just bad. I didn't have assertiveness in it. I wasn't confident. I was saying it to say it. I was
out of context.
Yeah, I was filling up space. And I remember my dad, I was about 15, and my dad went, okay, here's the deal. And he stops me. He's like, if you're going to swear, you got to be good at it. And you're just not good at it. And he's like, so just stop swearing. Either figure out how to swear or stop swearing.
I love you, Dad.
Yeah, that one shook me up. Great lesson from Pops. And then the second one was, then now I tried to get good. Don't eat all those now. I want to eat some of them too. I'm just nervous to eat on camera, unlike the bull. The second one was, then now I tried to practice my swearing, and I said, and I still don't say this to this day, I said the GD word. Said that in front of Mom. Instant slap face. I haven't felt right saying it since. I still tell people now, I don't like when you say that word.
Good job, Karen.
Yeah, she woke me up really good with that one. Those are the 2. I remember those in my childhood. And I'd like to consider myself a pretty good swearer.
You're a great swearer. You're one of the best, and that's a true compliment. And for me, it's just
it's early training.
It's early training, and for me, it's just that fear. You just don't do it for me in front of my old man, in front of my ma. When I do it.
Well, you are the movie with the guy who gets the red rifle pistol or whatever.
Oh yeah. Love you, Mom. Love you, Dad. Yeah. I miss you. I hope you're doing great. Kristen, great to see you. Everett, hope you're listening. This is for you. Mart, we've had another blast here. Maybe we should do this every time.
Yeah, this was fun. I was nervous. The first podcast we ever did, we drank whiskey for with Dave, if Dave's listening, so I don't want Dave to get out of this scotch-free. Dave was also nervous, and so I know he'll be nervous when we do this again if he has to go live. But we went coffee on this one, and I felt good about it. I was nervous in the first couple minutes. I think we settled in. Hope it was a fun show for everybody, and hope everyone's having fun. Good times.
Cheers. Stay positive, folks.
Cheers.